to step onto a spiritual path of any kind, to pursue spiritual truth, to do personal work, to transform yourself, to come to greater awareness, greater consciousness, and to achieve a greater realization is a decision that somebody comes to for any number of reasons. In recovery, when we step onto a spiritual path of recovery, what we call the path of discovery with Recovery 2.0, many of us chose this path because at the beginning we had to. There was a desperation to life, and we had come to a point where we had to change our life, but we didn't know what to do. And our addictions, our challenges in the addictive world led us to a place of so much pain and so much difficulty that it required a shift onto this new sort of footing, this new path, if you will. And we've been living one kind of way, and the people in the world understand us in this kind of way, as we have been, our family in particular, friends in particular. They know you as you have been. And then in recovery, at least, we step onto this path and we start to meet some new people and we start to be exposed to new ideas. And we're doing work of a spiritual nature, which means inevitably we're going to have to talk about things like God, higher power, the intelligence of the universe. We'll naturally come into discussion of consciousness and awareness. And we're now in this new language. It's a language that not everybody is familiar with. And as we first step onto this new path, it's a language that's new for us, and we're kind of trying that language on for size. And there's no question that for every seeker of liberation, right? We're seeking freedom. Yes, freedom from addiction, but even beyond, we're seeking freedom, period. The kind of freedom that we can only get through spiritual self-realization, being able to see the truth clearly. It means we have to get beyond ourself and we have to lose our mind. We literally have to get out of our mind in order to be able to do this work of liberation. But we're trying this language on, and at first it may feel inauthentic to us. We may question this new language, this new path that we're on. People from our old life, before we shed our skin and stepped onto this new path, they're wondering why we're using these strange terms, these strange words and this strange vocabulary. And my goodness, what's with all these meetings, and what's with all these new people in your life, and what's with all this new perspective? And some of those people will be threatened by your move into the unknown. Your work of liberation, movement towards self-realization, movement beyond addiction, and stepping onto a spiritual path can be threatening to some. Some, not everyone, but some people will be threatened by that. It provokes them for a variety of reasons. We don't have to get into that right now. Other people will be threatened or just bothered because there's an unwritten agreement between you and them. That you have an agreement, unwritten, that you're going to be a certain way with each other. You have related this way so far, and this is the way you will continue to relate. Well, now you're changing those rules. You're breaking the old contracts. And you're stepping onto a path that is decidedly your own, authentic for you. The challenge, of course, is in the beginning. It's like you're putting yourself into your own suit. Like you're like getting into the body glove, the spirit glove of you. You're trying on this new thing. And so for a while, for you in the beginning especially, for anyone, it might feel very uncomfortable. Who am I? What's true for me? I thought I knew who I was, and now I'm not so sure. And not only that, there can be a loneliness to this. A loneliness only because we're not yet fully connected to ourselves, but we're leaving behind the crutches that we used to use to live in the illusion of connection. So drugs and alcohol are taken away. Other addictive behaviors are taken away. Old relationships are being challenged and questioned. And we find ourselves sometimes quite alone, or so it seems, on this new path. And at the beginning, we can be unbelievably vulnerable. And I want to stop saying at the beginning, because it's not just at the beginning. This can happen 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 20 years in, 30 years in. We can come to a moment in our life, a new development, a new way of being, a new structure in our life, and we can feel that return to questioning and doubt. Doubt ourselves, doubt the path, doubt the teachings, doubt our experience, question what we've done. So it's not just at the beginning. This can happen to us at any point, any stage along the path. And it's very normal. I will say about the beginning, though, there's a great dilemma that beginners face. They know they don't want to live the way they've been living. They know they want a shift and a change. But they don't know how to go about it, and they don't know what it's going to feel like once they have it. So it's really a step into the unknown based purely on faith. You have examples of victory around you, people who are saying, listen, I've been where you are. There's a way through that, and it's a beautiful path. And while you may feel alone or disconnected or lonely or questioning or doubting today, that's a moment in time. It's a necessary portal that you'll go through, and you'll understand, wow, my new path, I feel challenged on it, and I'm questioning it, and that's okay. So it's good to question anyway. Like you questioned here. You brought this to the group. So as we move along this path, we'll encounter necessarily a vulnerability, a tremendous vulnerability. We haven't yet had it happen. Or maybe we have had it happen, but at the beginning we haven't yet had it happen. This thing that we want to have happen, this release from temptation, this release from craving, the inner battle easing up and stopping. It hasn't necessarily happened for us yet. Maybe we're 90 days sober. Maybe we're 6 months sober, a year sober. We go out with some friends who are not sober, who are not walking this particular path. And maybe we even go to the bar and they're drinking and you're not drinking. And there you are at the bar and you're having a difficult couple of days. It's been a rough week for you. You're in recovery, rough week, you're doubting. Very vulnerable place to be. You find yourself in a bar, other people are drinking, and it's not the alcohol that's the problem. It's not at all the alcohol that's the problem. The problem is that these people who are drinking start looking pretty good. The comparison of how you're feeling on the inside to how they look and appear to be on the outside, always you will come up short. You will come up short without question. There will be insecurity. Insecurity, a profound insecurity. And you will be in pain and suffering in that moment, questioning your recovery, questioning your commitment. Why am I doing this? I'm better off, I'm happier, I look like they look when I drink. Shouldn't I be drinking? And of course we know that if that thought comes in your head for any length of time, one of two things will happen. You will drink to satisfy that craving, to satisfy that thought, or you will pick up the phone and call somebody in recovery and say, I need to get with you right now. I need to get to a meeting. I need to talk it out. I need to tell you what's going on in my life because I'm having a moment of tremendous insecurity and doubt. And all it is one is just caught in this vulnerability of not being there yet. You go, let's say you get through that night, or you get through the period that you're describing now. You wake up in the morning and you feel better. And you're like, okay, I remember why I'm doing this. I'm doing this, first of all, because when I use drugs and alcohol, I'll speak about myself. When I use drugs and alcohol, it's painful. It creates a lot of pain. It creates a lot of disconnection. It wasn't always that way. And I don't try to push that away. I had lots of fun times. But I'm speaking about where I was at the end of my using and particularly where I have come to in my recovery. At the beginning, I remember thinking, I can't go back. I can't go back there. It was so painful for me. And I was so self-destructive. And the final thought that got me sober, the final thing that brought me into recovery was the idea that I would never find out what my life could have been had I been able to put down drugs and alcohol. That was the sobering thought. I'll never know what my life could have been. I feel so much potential. I feel so much possibility for presence and connection, for joy, for healing, and for love, and for just bliss in this life. I always felt that. But Lord knows I couldn't get to it. I couldn't manifest it. And so drugs and alcohol got in the way. And later on in my recovery, I would reflect, when I was past that initial vulnerable stage of it hasn't happened for me yet. So, I'm sort of forgetting why I'm doing this. When I got past that stage, there would be many more long nights of the soul, long dark nights of the soul, where I would be up all night with anxiety or troubled with a relationship or troubled with, financial realities or, creative frustration or what am I going to do in this world? How am I going to engage in the world? So many nights, so many years of struggle. But never through that struggle never did the thought come, I think it would be better for me if I used. And never did the thought come, even though I know it won't be better for me to use, I'll do it anyway. That thought didn't come either. What had taken root in me was a commitment so powerful, and so a conviction so sure that the spiritual path and the seeking of truth even with all the mistakes I had made in my life and all the circuitous sort of route through recovery, that was the way to go for me. And the reason was this: not anymore because I was going to kill myself with drugs and alcohol if I went back to that behavior. That kept me sober for a while, the fear of that. But there was now love, and there was now an undeniable relationship with truth. An undeniable relationship with God. An undeniable relationship with people that meant more to me than anything else. So I couldn't, and I cannot, justify to myself drinking alcohol. It just in the consciousness where I live, there's no room for it. So there had been this shift in consciousness over the years that brought me to a place where, in most ways, addiction can't really get a foothold in me. Now, I still am subject to the human condition, and I have to deal with anger, greed, pride, attachment, and lust every day. Okay? Those things are real. But the overwhelming sort of fight of, am I going to use today? Can I even come up with a reason to go back? I cannot, because it's the path itself. It's the path itself that means so much to me. Just being here. Just showing up in this way. In life. I don't mean showing up for you. Although that is I love to show up in this community. But I mean showing up for me. Showing up for God. Showing up for my teachers. Showing up for anybody who asks for help. That my commitment to that is it's beyond meaningful. It's my purpose. It's the reason I'm here. It's not something I have to, I don't have to try to do it. Do you understand what I mean? I'm just being me. And so I would rather be me authentically than to do anything else. And so the reason you're here is to be you, to find you, the authentic voice within you, your intuition, your wisdom, your creativity that is blossoming within you because of a question like you asked here. This is why you're here. And sure, you can blow it all off. You can go back to the way it was, which of course, nothing's there waiting for you. And you can, we can all always use drugs and alcohol, other crutches. We can use those two famous words, fuck it, and just go and do it. And what we find is, oh, that didn't turn out to be the solution. Gosh, I wish I could be back on that path again. The path of truth, the path of seeking, the path to me.